Hi there, welcome to Learn to Crochet. I'm going to take you through step by step from the beginning, how to make a slip knot, how to single crochet, double crochet, so that you can finish up with a little mug rug or a little coaster. It's not complicated. It's simply to learn, the 3 stitches you'll learn are, well, actually more. You'll learn how to chain, single crochet, double crochet, as well as slip stitch. And that's what we're going to do around the edge, is slip stitch it to finish it off nice and neat. Okay, so we are going to use a cotton yarn, which is kind of like, it can be sugar and cream, any kind of 100% cotton yarn that's good for dishcloths. And the reason why we're using cotton for a mug rug is if your mug is hot, it will handle the heat much better than any other yarn such as acrylic. The other thing we're going to be using is a 5mm crochet hook and this cotton yarn, which is a number 4. So if you look on the label, you'll see a little kind of like a picture of a ball of yarn with a number in the middle of it, and it should say number 4. So before we get started, we're going to start with the basics. So basically, this is your working yarn. This is the end of your yarn. So we're going to start by learning how to do a slip knot. Now, normally when I teach my students, we learn that undoing something when we're crocheting is not the end of the world. It's preferable once we make a mistake to undo it and then to do it properly so that our end product ends up being nice and we're happy with the results. This adapts well to life and how we learn from making mistakes and how we really shouldn't be afraid to take chances and make mistakes. So initially, they find this part a little bit difficult, and I'm going to have you live it as well so that you can see that it's really not the end of the world. Now, you're going to hold the end of your yarn in front of your fingers if you are right-handed. So it's going to be held in front of your left hand fingers. You are going to pinch the end of the yarn with your thumb and your middle finger. And then what we're going to do is we are going to wrap over your middle finger twice. And then you're going to come back to your thumb and hold on to that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the back thread or piece of yarn and pull it over the front. And then you're going to do that again. Back, pull over your finger, and simply pull up with your finger, and you now have a slip knot. The way you know whether or not your slip knot is correct, if you pull on both ends of the yarn, it simply undoes. So I ask my students to do this 10 times. I usually get moans and groans by then, but they see quite quickly that it's quite exciting. So again, pinching with middle finger and thumb in front of your index finger and around a second time. Grab it again so that it's not going anywhere. Back over front, and over your finger. Pull up. Now there are so many ways to do a slip knot. You can find many different ways to do it online. I typically just twist and I pinch it. I go through my loop, grab the end, pull it up, and hang on to this. So again, I'll do that one real quick. But I find that the first method that I showed is usually more successful with my students. It requires less dexterity and less, fiddling with ends and stuff. So there we go. So once you've done 10 slip knots and you've undone 10 slip knots, you're going to do a slip knot and you are going to put it on your crochet hook. Now you're going to pull on one of the ends. It's either going to be the short or the long, it doesn't matter, but you're going to pull it so that it is snug against your crochet hook, but like you can still see a little space there. It has to be able to move freely because inevitably you're going to have to pull your hook through it. And if it's tied up against your hook, it's going to be too difficult to do so. Now, I always tell my students this next step is probably the most difficult. And once you have it mastered, everything else is smooth sailing. So it's how to hold your yarn. Before I get to that, I just realized there's two ways of holding your crochet hook. You can hold it like a knife, which is my preferred method, or you can hold it like a pencil. And because you're learning, I think it's a wonderful opportunity to try both and to see which you feel most comfortable with. So don't hesitate. Go ahead and flip that hook around in your hand as we're learning these stitches to see which one you're most comfortable with. Okay, back to the most difficult part, holding your yarn. So the reason why it's important is it facilitates working the stitches as well as maintaining tension. And you'll understand what I mean by that in just a few moments. So typically what I do is I sneak my hand underneath the working yarn. See, that's the part that goes towards the ball. And I don't know if you noticed, but I kind of hold the end out of the way so it's not bothering me. So I'll slip my hand underneath so that the yarn is going over my ring finger. And then I'll have it go under my middle, over my index. And I usually tell the kids now karate chop. Karate chop your hand so that when you fold it, your middle finger lands on the knot of the slip knot at the base of your hook, and you hold the knot with your thumb and middle finger. So if I can just get closer so you can see, middle finger and thumb are holding the knot, so everything is still moving easily. Your hook is in front of the yarn, and I think this looks like a little face. So the face of your hook is facing you. I see that as the hook's nose. So it's in front of the yarn. You're going in front, under, and around. So you see how it catches the yarn. You're going to pull it towards your hook, but you want to pull it through. But in order to pull it through, as you approach your hook, you're going to have to turn your hook down and pull it through. If you don't turn it down, it'll be very difficult to pull through. And sometimes you'll have to pull down on that knot. So I'm going to do that again. Slip knot. Tighten it. Out of the way. Over middle, over ring, under middle, over index. Karate chop. Middle finger and thumb. And we want to leave our index finger out here to create an easy access to the yarn. Our hook is facing us, in front of the yarn, under and around. It grabs the yarn. I'm pulling it close to the loop. Watch what happens if I don't turn under. It just catches. I don't want to do that. I have to turn it so that it's face down. And sometimes you have to give it a wiggle and pull down on that knot. Now, once you pull through, pull up a little bit. I want you to play a little bit here. See, if I pull on my yarn, my loop gets bigger, and if I pull with my index, my loop gets smaller. So sometimes what happens is when we're learning, we're very tense. So it's important to hold your hook lightly, have a relaxed hand. Otherwise, when you go to do your next chain, this is what we're doing our chains. So you're going to place your hook in front of your yarn, under and around, come towards your loop, twist downwards, and pull through. But oh, look what happens when things are too tight. Don't fight with it. pull up a little bit, you give yourself more room and start over. In front, under and around, turn downwards and pull through. And see how you don't have to fight? Again, in front, under and around, pull towards the loop, twist down and pull through and pull up a little bit. Now, you're going to want to release the chains and come and pinch again close to the base. Not on here, because then that's not going to allow you to move anything. To the base of your chain. In front, under and around, pull towards, twist downwards, and pull through. It gives you stability and allows you to have control. Now, the way I'm suggesting you hold the yarn, that's my personal preference. There are so many different ways. You can wrap in front and around your pinky, and then in, like, I don't know how to describe that, in front of your hand, around your pinky, around your index, middle finger, thumb, and you're doing the same thing. It's whatever feels comfortable. I've seen some people just do that, but I find see how the yarn is very loose and it makes it difficult to grab. So for me, that doesn't work. But, you know, some people wrap it multiple times around their index, hold, and then they're able to work that way. I find that my tension tends to be tighter this way, and that slows me down, so it's not my preferred method, but it's really about finding what's comfortable for you. Now, these are chains. Let's look at the anatomy of stitches before we go any further. You see the V's? Each V is a chain stitch, so you should be able to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 chain. That's the front of the chain. If you twist it, oh, look at that. Those are beautiful little bumps. Some patterns ask you to go into the bumps of the chain. That's what they're talking about. That's the back side of the chain. Once again, not my preference. It tends to be more of a battle for me, and I'm doing this to relax, not to get frustrated. So I typically go in when we're doing this stitch. I'll show you where we're going to go in later, but that's just the anatomy of a chain stitch. Now, I stopped at 10 because this is where I ask my students to undo it and to start over. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but my chains were all fairly uniform in regards to their shape and size. That's what you want to get before you start moving on to the next step. So what happens normally when we start, sometimes we have really loose chains, and then we have, you know, a better consistency of chain. Sometimes we get really, really tight. Like when you're fighting like this, don't. Pull up, and then you pull through much more easily. Okay, so if we look at this chain, it's not very uniform. It becomes difficult to read. You see how it's like, what is this? Is that one chain? Is that two? So it's really important to try and have consistency so your chains are nice, clear V's. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that you simply work on the chain stitch. You do 10 chains. Count them as you do them, or do a bunch and then count to see if you can read your stitches. Look for your V's or feel for the bumps, and you should have 10. Then undo it. Sounds good? Okay. Pause the video and go ahead and do that and come back. Okay, welcome back. So you've done 10 set of chains 10 times. You've undone them, you've done them, you've undone them, you've done them. So now you're comfortable with the chain. So now we're going to start our pattern. And our pattern starts with 18 chain stitches. So that's what we're going to do. So you've done 10 times, so you've done 100 chains. 18 is nothing. 2, 3, 4, 5, move up. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. My chain is uniform. I've counted 18. Now we're going to start our pattern. Our first row is going to be single crochets. So you see this V right after the hook. We're not going to go into that one. We're going to go into the next one. And when we go into a V, we go into the middle of it so that we have like one bar on our hook in addition to what we started off with. Okay, so we're just going to go inside. We're going to go under the yarn. We're going to pick it up and we're going to pull it through that loop of the chain. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. Our hook is in front of the yarn, under and around, just like we do for a chain. And we're going to pull through both loops. That is a single crochet. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing into the next chain. So right there, not here, because you see all the yarns coming out of this hole, that loop right there. So that's already been used. So we're going to go into the next one. Into the chain. We're going to grab our yarn. We're going to pull it through. We have 2 loops on our hook. Grab our yarn and pull through both loops. Okay? Same thing. Next one over. In the chain, we're going under the yarn and we're grabbing it to pull it through the chain loop. We now have 2 loops. So in front, under and around, pull through. Next one. Same thing. That is a single crochet. In the loop, under, grab the yarn, pull it through, stretch up, in front of the yarn, under and around, pull towards both loops, twist and pull through. It's the same movements. So again, into the chain, the following chain. So we have 1 chain loop on our hook, under, grab the yarn, pull it through, pull up so that you're not going to be fighting. If you're fighting, it's because you need to pull up a little bit and create more space. See that? Creating more space. So we're in front, under and around, grabbing the yarn, twist down and pull through both loops. So you're going to continue that all the way to the end. I'll meet you back when you get to the end. Okay, so we have 2 chains left. 1, 2. So we're going to do the last 2 single crochets. And you see this one, this was like our slip knot, our first chain. So sometimes that one's a little bit more difficult to get in. So you're going to squeeze in there, pull through. There we go. Now, here we go. We're going to stop for a minute. I pulled this loop a little bit bigger so I don't lose it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to count the number of single crochets we have to make sure we haven't skipped any stitches. So we started with 18 chains and we skipped the first one, so we should have 17 single crochets. Now there's different ways of counting them. I find it's easiest to simply look at the V's. So if you twist it, we can count the V's just like It's reminiscent of the chain. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and there's 17, the last one right there. The other way we can count our single crochets is if we look at it this way. And each single crochet will have like 2 legs in the stitch below. So it's like these little clumps. Do you see those? So that's another way of counting them. But I do think counting the chains, well, they look like chains, the top of the stitch, far simpler. Okay, so let's get back at it. The next part of our pattern is we are now going to do chain 1. So that means we're going to do 1 chain, and then we're going to turn our work. And we're now going to work in this direction. That chain doesn't count really as any like a stitch. It just helps us set us up for our next row, which is going to be another row of single crochets. Now, this is the fun part. Once we get past that setup row, that first row of working into the chains, it's far simpler because now we're going to go right there. We're going to go right into that stitch. We're going to grab our yarn from underneath and we're going to pull it through. And then in front, under and around, twist and pull through. That's our single crochet. Okay, so let's look at that again. Let's look at the anatomy of the stitches. So we've got our V. We're going in where there's like a natural kind of divot right there. And once you go through, you have the 2 legs of that looking V, the 2 legs of the V on top of the hook. Okay. Now we're going to go under, grab the yarn and pull it through, stretch out, give ourselves some room. In front of the yarn, under and around, twist as I pull through, and there's my second single crochet. Okay, now do you see that hole? Pull your work apart. Everywhere you see a hole, that's where you're going in. That hole right there. That's where you're going to insert your hook, right there. In you go. If you're not sure, you check and make sure you've got both legs of that stitch on your hook. You're under the yarn, pull it through, give it a bit of a stretch. You've got 2 loops on your hook, in front, under and around, pull towards both loops, twist down, and pull through. Those are single crochets, and you're going to continue until you get to the end. The end is going to be tricky, so I'm going to meet you again when there's only 2 stitches left. Okay, so now we have 2 stitches left. And the way I know that is I can see a hole right there that I'm going to need to go into right there. But this one's a little bit tougher. But if you turn your work, you can see a V there and a V there. So you know there's 2 stitches left. So here we go. We're going to go into that stitch, under, pull through, under and around, pull through. The last one's going to be tricky. You might have to work, give it a wiggle, get it in there. Make sure you've got those 2 legs on top of your hook. You're going under the yarn to grab it and pull through. Give yourself a stretch. In front of the yarn, under and around, pull towards the loops, twist and pull through. There you go. Now, if you want to make sure you haven't forgotten, we're going to count our stitches. And remember, we should have 17. So again, I'm going to count from the top. It's so much simpler. So there's 1 V, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and you go, what is this mess here? There's the next V, that's 17. This little lumpy thing here, that's that chain one that allowed us some wiggle room when we changed rows. Okay, so the next part of the pattern is like we did before. We're going to do chain one, and then we're going to twist. Turn, not twist, turn. Okay, now we're going to learn a new stitch. We are now going to learn the double crochet. So we've done 2 rows of single. We're going to do 1 row of double. The double is very similar to the single, just with maybe an extra step. So before we go into our stitch, which is right here, you're going to wrap your hook with yarn. So I'll show you again. In front, under and around. Then if you're afraid to lose it, just hang on to it with your index finger. You're going to go into your stitch. You're underneath the yarn. You're going to grab it and pull it through. Give it a little bit of a stretch. And look, now I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to grab my yarn. So in front, under and around. I'm going to pull through 2 of those loops. And now I have 2 loops remaining. I'm in front of my yarn, under and around, come towards my loops, twist, and pull through the last 2. Move your fingers up if you need to give yourself a little bit of leverage so that you can sneak your hook through those 2 loops. Okay, here we go again. Wrap your yarn around your hook. So in front, under and around. You're going to go into that hole, which is into the stitch below. Under the yarn, you're going to grab it, pull it through, stretch up a bit. In front of the yarn, under and around, twist and pull through 2 loops. See how I keep pulling up? Because I want to loosen up my loop here, so that'll be easier to go through. Again, I'm in front of the yarn, under and around, come towards my loops, twist, and pull through both. If you find that you don't have much control, don't be afraid to kind of let go from down here, come up here, and give yourself more stability. Again, in front, under and around, into the stitch. I'm under the yarn, I grab it, I pull it through, give myself a stretch, in front, under and around, pull through 2, pull up, in front, under and around. I'm going to give myself more stability and hold here, and I'm going to pull through the last 2. That is a double crochet. So grab your yarn, insert into the stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, wiggle, give yourself a stretch, grab your yarn, pull through 2, stretch, move up, stabilize, grab your yarn, pull through 2. And you're going to do a double crochet in each of the stitches all the way across. I will meet you at the end when there's about 2 stitches left. Okay, welcome back. Here we go. We've got 2 stitches left. Turn, you can see the V's. So we're going to grab our yarn into the before last stitch, grab my yarn, pull it through, give myself a stretch, under and around, pull through 2 loops. Oh, look at this. This might happen. You might come across yarn that has been cut or broken and the manufacturer has tied a knot. We're just going to keep working through that, and we can trim any excess afterwards. Okay, so we're at the point where we still have 2 loops, so I'm grabbing my yarn and I'm pulling it through the last 2 loops. Now we have 1 more stitch. See the V right there? We're going to grab our yarn. It's going to look messy. We're going to go into this stitch, We're going to grab the yarn, we're going to pull it through. We're going to try and ignore all those little scraggly pieces. If you can, kind of pull them out of the way. Grab your yarn, pull through 2. Grab your yarn, pull through 2. There we go. So let's pull out our hook and let's have a look at what things look like. We're going to learn to read our work. So we did 1 row of single, a 2nd row of single, see with those 2 little legs into that hole. So there we go. We've got 1 row single, 1 row single, and now 1 row double. Now, this is called a post. So it becomes easier to count at this point. We can count the posts, or we can turn and we can count the things that look like chains up at the top. And we're supposed to have 17. So let's make sure we haven't added or forgotten any stitches. So I'm going to count the posts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and here's my last one right there, 17. And there's the V that corresponds to that stitch. Great. So now our pattern repeat begins. Chain 1, turn your work. We are now going to do another row of single crochets. So we're going to go into that first stitch, grab our yarn, pull it through, grab our yarn, pull through both loops, single crochet. Here we are. Where are we going? We're going right into that hole right there. So we're going into the stitch, remember, with both legs on top, grabbing our yarn, pulling it through, stretch a little bit, grab our yarn, pull through 2 loops. I'll do one more with you, see how things begin to get nice and easy to see in there. Grab the yarn, pull it through, grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops, another single crochet. So you will single crochet all the way to the end. I'll meet you up at the end. So here we are again at the end, 2 stitches left. There we go. Oh, this is perfect. See how I only have one of the legs? That means I haven't gone into the entire stitch. The stitch has 2 legs. This one's considered the front, and that one is considered the back. And that's going to be important to know for some patterns, because they'll ask you to go either into the front loop or the back loop. But right now we're just doing a regular single crochet, so we have to go under both loops. Grab our yarn, pull it through, grab our yarn, pull it through both stitches, and now we need to do our last one. See, if you look at it this way, you might think you're done. But you see how if you don't do that last one, you're going to start to create a diagonal line as opposed to a nice straight edge. So it's important, if you're not sure, twist it, have a look for that V. Get into that stitch. Again, perfect example. It's a little tight. Use your nail if you have to. Make sure you've got both loops, both legs on top of the hook. Grab your yarn, pull it through. Grab your yarn, pull it through both loops. Now I've included in your kit, those of you listening to this video because of a class you're attending, in your kit, I've given you stitch markers, and in our in-person time together, I'll show you how to use those stitch markers to more easily find that last stitch. But I find if you can learn to read your stitches sooner rather than later, it's more convenient than having to put down your work, enter a stitch marker, close the stitch marker, and then keep on working. You become more efficient, and it's not really that much harder to learn to read your work. Okay, so I said that we were beginning our repeat. So let's go back. We did 2 rows of single crochet. one row of double crochet. Now we've done one row of single. We're going to do chain one. We're going to turn our work and we're going to do another row of single crochet. So into that first stitch, grab our yarn, pull it through, grab our yarn, pull through both loops. See where that hole is? If you pull a little bit, it's right there. In you go, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through both loops, another single, and you continue single crochets until the end of the row. I will meet you back up at the end when there's 2 stitches left to tell you what your next step is going to be. Welcome back. Last 2 stitches. In we go. And into the last stitch. Grab your yarn, pull it through, and we are done. 2 rows single, 1 row double, 2 rows single. What do you think you're going to do next? 1 row double, but before, remember, we do chain 1, turn our work into that very first stitch. We're going to wrap our hook with the yarn. We're going to go into that first stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through 2. Next stitch, grab the yarn, into the stitch, grab my yarn, pull it through, grab my yarn, pull through 2, grab my yarn, pull through 2. Next one, into the stitch, grab my yarn, pull it through, grab my yarn, pull through 2, grab my yarn, pull through the last 2 loops. See how I moved my fingers up to create more stability and give me some leverage to pull it through more easily. Into the stitch, grab my yarn from underneath and pull it through, in front, under and around, pull through 2, in front, under and around, pull through 2. So what you're going to do is you are going to continue this. You're going to continue doing double crochets until the end. Now, let's go back to our model. 2 rows of single, 1 row double. 2 rows single, 1 row double. 2 rows single, 1 row double, and then you will end with 2 rows of single crochet. So you will be finished when you have 1, 2, 3 separate rows of double crochet with 2 single crochet rows between each. And then you are done. So I'll finish the row of double crochets and single crochet that comes after the double. So right here, if you compare the two, so we have our 2 rows of single, a row of double, 2 rows of single crochet, a row of double. So I will finish that double and finish the 2 rows of single crochet, and I'll show you how to fasten off. But you're going to do 1 more row of double crochet and 2 more rows of single crochet to have a finished mug rug. This is just a sample where I'm working you through the different stitches. So I'm going to finish this row of double. I'm going to do 2 rows of single, and I'll fasten off. I'll show you how to end your project, but you're going to do 1 more repeat of the pattern before you fasten off. Okay, so I'll come back after I finished those rows. Okay, so I finished my 2 rows of single crochet in my sample. For the pattern, you're going to do 1 more row of double crochet and then 2 more rows of single crochet, and then you will be done. But I wanted to show you quickly how to fasten off. So I've done my single crochet. I'm going to take my yarn under and around, and basically it's a chain, and just pull through and tight. Some folks just say to pull your yarn through and then that's it, but I find that it doesn't fasten off as securely. Now we have the ends. What do we do with these ends? We do not cut them. It's not what we do. We take our ends and we take our darning needle, or the needle that you're going to have in your kit. Now, these ones are fairly easy to thread, so you're just going to take the end and put it in the eye, but sometimes it splits and it gets frustrating. So I bend, like I fold mine over the tip and I pinch it, pull my needle out, and you see how it's folded over, and then I just kind of push it through, wiggle, push it through, and then I grab it. It works a little bit better than trying to work with a frayed end. That's just my own little trick. Now what you're going to do, we call this weaving in your ends. So you're going to take your needle and you're going to kind of put it into a stitch, into another stitch, and you're going to pull the yarn through. And you're going to go and maybe another couple of stitches. Now, these are not the easiest needles to work with. Your yarn might split a little bit, and that's okay. Just pull it through gently. Okay. And then you're going to go in the opposite direction, in through different stitches. And then you're going to come back again through different stitches, and then you're going to trim your yarn. That's going to be the time when you can cut it. You're just trying to get it through loops and pull it through, and then you're just going to pull, and then you'll trim it right there. I'm in the middle of packing, so I've already packed my scissors, so I thought I'd show you. You know, it's a hack. It's, you know, sometimes you have to MacGyver things. Bet you can find a nail clipper. Anyways, you can always just use a nail clipper if you're stuck, and trim your yarn, and there you go. It's hidden, it's tucked away, and it shouldn't come free. And you'll do the same thing with this piece of yarn. Oh, remember we had that knot, and I said we'd deal with this afterwards? This one you can trim. You can use your scissors, or in this case, your handy dandy nail clipper. This is so embarrassing. But hey, it's life. This is real life. This happens sometimes. Anyways, and you just trim off those nasty, ugly ends from the knot that the manufacturer gave you, and it gets tucked in and you won't notice it, especially on a mug. Or, you know, you can use the same pattern to create a dishcloth. You just make your initial chain longer. You can probably add like 10 chains to it, and that would be a good size, and follow the exact same pattern. And the way that I know when to stop, because everyone's tension's a little bit different, and so everyone's will grow at a different rate. So I will fold my corner over until it's flush. So when it's flush up here, then I'll have a perfect square. I think you know what I mean. You know, when you take a sheet of paper and you fold it so that you want to have a perfect square. So if these two sides are flushed, when you open it up, it's a perfect square. So that's what I mean. You'll just continue the same pattern until you can fold it over and your edges are flush and you have a triangle to make a perfect square. It's a very versatile pattern. In this case, we made a mug rug, or, you know, you can call it a coaster. If you want to not have it rectangular, continue to make it grow. You can use this as a face cloth. You can use it as like, you know, a dish scrubby. There's so many things that you can do with this. This one you could even start with a longer chain, add like 10 more chains, and just do the pattern of 2 single crochet, 2 rows of single crochet, and then 1 row of double, and you can create yourself a bookmark. Again, possibilities are endless. Once you start this, sky's the limit. So I hope that you have learned something new, that you have gained some confidence in a new hobby that hopefully you will absolutely love and continue to pursue. I wish you all the best and happy crocheting.